Hi there, and welcome to the ATS podcast with me, Will Brown, and John Soulsby, where we break down chunks of health and fitness information into bite sized pieces, remove a bunch of the noise, and just leave what's relevant. Today we're on episode 3 of season 3, injury rehab, physical therapy to optimize performance. Um, Performance optimization is more a training thing. Physical
Yeah.
therapy is more an injury rehab thing. However, they are not too different. Like, I will always laugh when people go to physio. Like my usual question is like, what did you do at physio? And they're like, oh, like this. And I'm like, is that an exercise? And they're like, yeah. Physio
Yeah.
is typically, specifically MSK physio for like musculoskeletal injuries, is just training with weirder exercises.
Yeah.
Like if
Usually more specific and likely regressed because you are in.
Yeah, I was about to say they're almost like clinical regressionists because most of
Yeah.
the time, like I think a lot of people are just like, oh, physios just help like athletes. Like, no, they don't. Like, it is such a small module of their like encompassed
Oh,
learning that is mental.
totally.
Like, yeah, they mainly work in hospitals helping people
Walk,
uh
breathe.
helping people like recover from major traumatic surgeries like strokes, heart attacks, brain injuries, like all kinds of stuff. Yeah, breathing,
Or
like helping folk aspirate.
yeah, someone I know had a physio to teach them how to cough properly after they'd had an illness.
Yeah, like they
Interesting.
do. That's the kind of that aspirational, like that
Yeah.
like the respiratory ward stuff, where they're like, just help people cough up phlegm,
Yep.
report phlegm color. Like, it's extremely,
Yay.
yeah, it's like really
Really
unsexy.
glamorous.
Yeah, you're not running on the pitch with the Scotland team,
The bag.
like,
Yeah.
yeah, with the magic ice bag and the magic sponge.
Yeah, that's been one man for about 30 years.
Yeah. But yeah, getting into it, the one thing that I notice a lot with people is everyone likes a very closed loop. You'll notice yourself doing it if you're in any kind of, I guess, in any state of self-awareness. If you have listened to this now, which is people will attempt to adhere something to the outcome of being sore. Like if they come into the gym and they're like, "Oh, like my shoulder's playing up today," and they'll be like, "Yeah, but like I think I slept funny. Like I like slept like on my shoulder weird, and like that's why it hurts." Like they like a closed loop of like we have shoulder pain requires a cause, and then the thingy. I was like, it doesn't require a cause. Like you can just chop that bit off because it doesn't affect anything else going forward. Like if your shoulder is sore because you slept funny, or your shoulder is sore because you fell off the trampoline while bouncing with your kids and landed like a sack of tatties. The like apart from the obvious like get assessed for a concussion if you feel sore if like you hit your head or anything like that, or make sure it's not broken, like the bone isn't physically broken.
Yeah.
If it is just low grade muscular soreness or discomfort, the training plan is kind of the same. Like you can't, like, obviously PTs and personal trainers cannot diagnose injuries, imbalances, or anything other pish like that. Like, you are not qualified. Stop doing it. Um, and if people are like, "Oh, my shoulder's sore," you're like, "Okay, well, we're gonna proceed with training as normal until told otherwise by your shoulder. Like, your shoulder is essentially gonna dictate what we do today." And it's like, cool, we go through warm ups. Shoulder okay? Sweet. We load a little bit. Shoulder okay? Sick. We approach working weight. Still good? Yeah. And then you just proceed like that. And if at any point you're like, nah, shoulder's playing up, like that's uncomfortable, you regress. I mean, the easiest variable is load. So you just take a little bit of weight off, and if it goes to zero to like less discomfort, you're on the right track. After that, maybe reduce volume, like total work doing, as in like very obviously, well, hopefully, if they are doing sets of 10 and it is fine up until rep 8, just do sets of 6 with that decreased weight, and it can just be a kind of easy taking upper bod session, doesn't have to be mental. And if it's in the extreme, you can regress them all the way to doing like partial range of motion if partial range is completely comfortable but full range is not, and work back towards full range of motion over time. You can't figure out what's wrong, but that doesn't mean you can't apply sensible training to it, because completely doing nothing is bad. because if you remove training, you remove the trainability. Like unsurprisingly, if you like all the benefits of having muscle and training for strength that we bleat on about all the time, if you just stop training something, that all goes away. And so you end up with like a very detrained muscle that can't support the structures around it very well, and the likelihood it gets re-injured goes up because it's weak as fuck.
Yeah, and on that thing of like keeping training for something, even when
Hmm.
it's sore, like it's something like you only need to do 60 to 90% of your original work. Keep something.
Oh yeah, I'd be
Because
surprised if it was even that high.
yeah, I think like you can get away with just doing like 90% of what you,
You
as
could,
in sorry, 90% off, like 1/9. So like
oh,
10%.
1/9. Yeah, yeah.
Sorry.
So 10% of original volume.
Yeah, so you could literally take what you were doing, do 10% of that, and kind of stay where you are.
Yeah, like the detraining effects for doing a little bit versus doing nothing are massive. Like this is why we bleat on about doing literally any amount of training is so much better than zero. It's really difficult to explain the magnitude of how significant it is.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Uh,
um, there's again, it's hilarious. It's like it kind of goes into this. This is getting on a bit of a rant. Where are we? 4 minutes. Uh, yeah, like it's a hot take, but form is essentially a myth. Uh, it's a social construct. The the way in which you lift weights or do anything, run your running gait, uh, is more relevant to performance than it is to injury risk by an absolute mile. It essentially has nothing to do with injury risk.
yeah, I think there's a lot of the recent stuff coming out now is essentially saying it's irrelevant.
Yeah, I don't even know if it's recent coming out now. I think it's been out. I think it's only
Well,
just making its
very
way
true,
to.
very
I
true.
think it's making its way to social media and popular
Yeah,
opinion now. But like the video I always reference from the like the British Journal of Sports Medicine or something is like from I don't know 2020. Like it's years old. It's like 4 years old at this point, and it is a crap video. Like it is the most kind of university physio like video you'll ever see with like I guess like the equivalent of the MS paperclip like in terms of production.
yeah,
Like it's just talking about load and capacity and the fact that your capacity to do a thing needs to the load that you put on needs to reflect like your capacity to do it, and if you exceed your capacity for too long, you will get hurt. And in regressing training, your capacity lowers down along with the load that you do, so then you have to retrain yourself back up to previous capacity and therefore previous load. Like, unsurprisingly, let's use a non lifting example. You're a runner, you're pushing your running volume, you get a really sore knee all of a sudden, like you just wake up and it's really sore. Do not take your normal running volume and do turn it to zero running. Like, that's not a great idea. Uh, First of all, you can always book a physio consult. Sick. However, if you go to a physio consult and they say something like, again, like, yeah, like, if they say something along the lines of to do with you're built weird or you move weird or something like that, like, or classics, like, oh, your glutes are inactive, like, oh,
I was
one
about to
leg's
say
long,
that's
yeah, one
such a
leg's longer
classic.
than the other, or like, maybe you've got flat feet. Nonsense. Like, nothing. It like it annoys me because it horrendously discredits. I mean, literally every Paralympian and Special Olympian going. Like literally fucking. You think folk who have one leg are not imbalanced? Like, yes, mate, they are. Like, they literally have one fiberglass fucking leg, and yet they are elite performers that are not that far behind actual like full-bodied like
Yeah,
humans in terms of how fast they can run. So arguably some are much better off because they literally have a fucking incredibly tensile strong fiberglass takeoff platform now. But yeah, it's like you're fine. The thing would be hurt knee during running. Okay, sick, wake up. Number one, what is your usual running workout? Let's see what you can do. Literally get out, warm up as you normally would, and then, walk for a bit, jog for a bit, be like, how's that? and just let pain dictate. If walking is fine but jogging is sore, get a bunch of walking in, amazing, and then call it a day. If you're like jogging's okay, and then you try and push the pace and jog into like your kind of running pace, and that's not okay, that's sore, be like, okay, dial back on that. Let's just jog at much less of a pace. And over time, you just keep doing these little assessments in your training of like, does this hurt? Is this uncomfortable? You can train with a little bit of discomfort, but if it ever goes up to like, ooh, pain, you dial it back immediately. And also expect that after each of these sessions, your it will probably continue to be sore because you are overloading the capacity of your knee in this made up scenario.
Yeah.
However, it will eventually reacclimate with appropriate load and training volume, but as soon as it stops being sore, don't just be like, "Sweet, back to PB pace and PB distance, boys, let's go."
Yeah.
Like you can't do that.
We're off.
You have to rebuild slowly, and it will come back quicker than you ever got it the first time if it was like the other one. People always like doom and gloom, being like, "Oh my god, like it's
All
going
my
to take me
gains.
it's going to take me so long to get back." You're like, "Mate, no it won't, because you don't like you know where you're going." And so everything en route only has to be a stopgap if performance or pain says otherwise. Like,
And especially if you do any amount of training on it in between.
yes, it'll get better a whole bunch quicker. So, easy peasy. Again, just stop doing closed loop stuff. Stuff doesn't need a reason why it's sore to be sore. It can just be sore. Like, that's fine.
Yeah.
The answers are the same. Is that you keep an eye on it throughout your training, and if there's any obvious flaws in your training, like you don't warm up at all, like you're doing the Russian warm up of like do the empty bar, go for a cigarette, then hit your PB weight. No, don't do that. If your
Get
recovery
some
or
help.
yeah, if your recovery or externals are high, like it's crunch time at work, we've just moved house, we've just had a kid, and you haven't accounted for that in your training, should probably look at that. I mean,
Yeah.
you're accounting for it now because you're hurt, so well done. That's how that goes. And if you are hurt, yeah, just let discomfort and pain dictate what you do, but don't do nothing. I think that's pretty much all that's all I would kind of semi rant on about injury.
Yeah, no, I think there's nothing really to add to that. It's pretty bang
Oh
on.
mate, honestly, I fucking it does my nut when people are like, I slept weird. I'm like, imagine like the audacity of being like such like of so much muscular capacity that you can lift over double your body weight and being waylaid by a mattress. Like like I appreciate it might be stiff and uncomfortable, but like you're not getting absolutely destroyed by a chair or a mattress. You're just staying in the one position and not moving for several hours.
Yeah.
This is the other piss is fucking people talking about sitting. I was like, sitting isn't uniquely detrimental, just not moving is uniquely detrimental. I was remember we used to coach door staff back in the old place and be like, "You guys stand all the time, you must be great." And they're like, "Nah, mate, my knees hurt a lot. So do my feet."
Yeah,
Also,
fuck.
also I get punched in the face occasionally. I'm like, yeah, I suppose that'd probably suck.
Yeah.
Like people sitting on desks don't get punched in the face.
Right. I think that's that for that one.
Oh yeah, rant over.
Unless you
Next
have
one.
anything. Yeah.